In Chinese history, there is an old saying that has lasted for nearly 1,000 years. Officials may set fires, but the people may not light lamps. On the surface, it mocks an absurd double standard. Those in power can do whatever they want, while ordinary people can't even light a lamp. But if you treat this saying as just a complaint about unfairness, you are underestimating it. Because what it truly describes is not an exception. It describes a world where rules were always designed to work this way. In traditional Chinese society, rules were never meant for everyone. This saying comes from a story that sounds almost like a joke. There was a local official in the Song Dynasty named Tian Deng. He had a very absurd taboo. People were not allowed to use any word that sounded like his name. One of those words happened to be lamp. So across his entire district, no one was permitted to say the word lamp. Then came the Lantern Festival. Of course, the government still needed to announce the celebration, but the official notice could not contain the word lamp. So it ended up saying, by tradition, the government will set fires for 3 days. The government could set fires, but the people could not light lamps. This sounds like a joke, but it has survived for nearly 1,000 years, not because it's funny, but because everyone knows. This kind of logic has never been unfamiliar in real life. When one official's personal taboo can become a rule that everyone must follow, that is not a coincidence of language. That is the nature of power. We naturally assume that rules exist to maintain fairness. Everyone follows the same rules, and society functions properly. But in traditional Chinese political logic, rules were never designed for fairness. They were designed for order. And those two are not the same thing. Fairness means rules apply equally to everyone. Order means everyone stays in the position they are supposed to be in. Under this logic, the purpose of rules is not to limit power. It is to help power manage those without power. When officials can raise taxes, but farmers cannot refuse, the rules are functioning normally. When top officials can appoint their allies, but lower officials cannot report over their heads, the rules are also functioning normally. Rules do not restrain the people who make them. This is not a flaw, this is design. And this is not just corruption. This is how the system was designed to work. Most people understand power as what you can do. But in Chinese history, power is more directly defined by what you don't have to follow. The emperor could ignore any rule because he was the source of all rules. Top officials could ignore most rules because they were the ones who enforced them. Local authorities could ignore local rules because they were the local power itself. Ordinary people had to follow every rule because those rules were designed specifically for them. Power is not measured by how many resources you control. It is measured by how many rules do not apply to you. Rules are like a net. The more power you have, the further away you are from it. The less power you have, the tighter it wraps around you. The most powerful form of a rule is not when it is enforced on everyone. It is when it is enforced selectively. When a rule is strictly applied to all, it is law. But when it is applied to some and ignored for others, it becomes a weapon. Many political battles in Chinese history did not require new rules. They only required picking an existing one. To bring someone down, you don't need to fabricate charges. You just need to find one rule, a rule they must have broken at some point, and enforce it strictly. While for your own people, you simply look the other way. The rule itself is not what matters. What matters is who decides when to enforce it. Here is the most counterintuitive part. Most people are not unaware of this double standard, but to some extent, they accept it. Officials may set fires, but the people may not light lamps. In real life, this is rarely spoken as an angry accusation. More often, it comes with a bitter smile. That's just how it is. What can you do? From a young age, people absorb an unspoken logic. You follow the rules of your position. If you don't hold that position, don't expect that position's privileges. A farmer would never ask, why don't officials have to pay taxes? Because in his world, that question doesn't even exist. Officials and farmers were never the same kind of people. Once this hierarchy is internalized, the double standard is no longer seen as unfair. It becomes normal. Officials may set fires, but the people may not light lamps. This saying has survived for nearly 1,000 years, not because it tells a funny story from the Song Dynasty, but because it expresses a logic that still exists today. Rules are not designed to restrain power. Rules are tools that power uses to restrain everyone else. When a set of rules can be freely ignored by the very people who created them, those are no longer rules. They are a declaration of privilege. Perhaps the real question is not why double standards exist. The real question is, who do the rules actually serve?